Hello, patrons. We are live. Thank you for tuning in. You're watching Art Autopsy. I'm your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I do a lot of work in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks I jump on the old YouTube channel and I work on some art, do a new painting for you. So everyone watching at home, I encourage you to get out your art supplies and make some art with me. You don't have to make what I'm making, make whatever you want. And if you make something that you want to show off, email it to me. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I'll share it on an upcoming live stream. So, before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you, as always, to my amazing patrons who support me over on Patreon. So, thank you, Jennifer, Tango14, Travis, Anthony, Rachel, Derek, Stephen, Violet, Jill, Charlie, Misty, Donna, Necrotechnicon, Stormy, Sarah, and Brian. You guys are rock stars. I really appreciate you. So yeah, throughout the stream, just please join on in the chat and say hey. I'll try to keep up with it throughout the painting. Let's see, who do we have with us in the chat? We've got Gothneck, Jennifer Goupil, Travis, Sarah, Julie B, Kent Laurer, Michael Garcia. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. So this would be the part of the broadcast where I show the user submissions, but no one actually sent in anything from last week. It's a first for Art Autopsy. There were no submissions. So hopefully one of you fine folks out there will submit some art so I can show it off to everybody next week. So, oh, hey, Charlie, thanks for joining. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different today. We're still doing a painting, but I have a wild idea that I'm going to do a painting start to finish in one session, which is normally impossible because like an oil painting will take me 10 hours at a minimum, right? So usually we only start it, but just to kind of make up for last week when I didn't make a lot of progress on that painting, this week, well, let me just show you. I'm going to do a smaller piece. This is just an 8 by 10, and I'm going to do it 100% in acrylic, at least till I'm ready to call it done in acrylic. Maybe later I'll add little oil details. We'll see if it needs it or not. But I just thought it would be cool just so you guys can see kind of like a rapid fire how a smaller piece can come together really quickly. And of course, acrylic dries so fast, and I'm pretty fast with it, so we'll see how that is. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It's a little something new. And this time I made a reference. The first thing I did is I just took out my phone and I shot pictures of myself making stupid faces, you know, stuff like that. Then I brought it into Photoshop and I turned it into this monstrosity. So this is what I'll be using as a reference. I have it on my iPad, which is over here to the right of my canvas, and the painting isn't going to look exactly like it. It's just a general guide for the wackiness that it might turn into. So yeah, I guess we're going to get started. So other than just the basic desire to do a painting start to finish in one session, I also wanted to kind of prove a point with this painting that you don't really need to spend a whole lot of money to make art. So not only am I doing it just in acrylic, but I'm going to be doing it in like a cheaper acrylic, these Liquitex Basics, which are actually pretty good paints. And I'm only going to be using black, white, and the 3 primary colors. That is it. Every other color that ends up here is getting mixed. So each one of these tubes is roughly about, I don't know, $3 to $5. I'm not sure. Somewhere there's a price tag or whatever. So really, and these will last you forever because there's a lot of paint in them. So if you're curious about painting and you don't want to spend a lot of money starting out, you can do everything with the primary colors in black and white. So that's the idea. Okay, let's see. In the chat here, Michael will send something from a few weeks ago. Yeah, sure, man. Send it over. Okay. How are you guys doing tonight? Are you having fun? Who's making art? Let me know in the chat what you're working on, and I'd love to hear all about it. So for right now, I'm just doing the underpainting, which is just going to be in black and white as per usual. So I'm just squeezing out some black and white. Uh, because the acrylic dries really fast, I'm not going to put the color on the palette just yet. Um, and other than the paint, I've got a little cup of water here. So that's all you need. Oh, and I should say too, this canvas was treated with gesso first. I put about 10 coats of gesso because I really wanted to get rid of the pores. Of course, the gesso causes its own texture, but that's less annoying than the pores. So I gesso, I sand, I gesso, I sand, and you do that for a whole day, and then you have a really nice surface to paint on top of, which is what we'll be doing here. So yeah, let's get going. Let's see, Jennifer says, I'm still working on my bat painting. I've made almost zero progress since last art autopsy. Maybe for next time. Hey, that's okay, Jennifer. You know, I made very little progress on my own painting. I got pulled into Movie World doing revisions for a movie from last year, and I didn't get a lot of painting done my darn self. So that's why I want to make some real progress on this one. Okay, let's see. Gothnick says, great idea. Thank you. Michael Garcia says, I'm drawing blueprints on a hand strap, the evil Christmas scarecrow mask. Very cool. Nice. All right, so again, I got that reference off to the side, and I'm just kind of looking at it again. I'm not going to be too precious about how much it looks like that reference. I just want a basic general idea for the shadows and you know, the way the light's falling across it. And I'm certainly not going for a likeness of myself with it, although that's going to come across a little bit. I'm just really stealing the light and the shadow from the reference and the basic idea. And of course, that was just a real quick, I would say a 10-minute Photoshop job with even less time and thought put into the photographs as the reference. So I'm going to hopefully make this look better than the photo reference. And again, not being too precious with anything. This mouth that's up top and up bottom, I just used the same photo for the reference for both. So just for fun to change it up a bit, I'll be doing something different with the tongue. And of course, they're different scales and such. Anyway, but the thing with acrylic is it dries so fast that you don't have, so with oil, if I were laying this down in oil, just this black sketch right here, I would then be able to take some other colors and start blending them in with that immediately, or before the oil dries. But by the time I get on to even adding the white in here, the black of this acrylic paint is going to be mostly dry already. So when I want to mix the two, I'll have to kind of mix up some more gray and stuff. So you know, it's one you can call that an advantage or a disadvantage to oil or acrylic. It depends on how fast you work and how annoyed you are by waiting for things to dry. It has been a while since I've just sat down and done a straight up acrylic painting all by itself. They're always fun. When I would do, initially when we started out Art Autopsy over at Hyena Gallery, and it was a live event, I think it was mostly acrylic back then. I was just on an acrylic kick then. And probably at the last year of the live event, I had switched more and got more into oil painting. But I mean, you can see how fast this is coming together already. It's pretty fast. And if you're wondering about the blue underpainting or the blue tone of the canvas, I just arbitrarily chose the color because it was kind of a mid-range color, not too dark, not too light. Didn't put too much thought into it, just kind of the first mid-range color I grabbed out of my drawer of acrylic paints. And so even though we're working in acrylics, you're going to see a lot of similarities in this process between how I paint with oil and how I paint with acrylic. The difference is, instead, as I go to what would be called in oil glazing, which is, adding on those thin layers of other colors with oil paint in a medium, since I won't be using a medium on this, I'll be doing the same thing, but rather using it as washes and just mixing the paint with water and thinning it down and using that to glaze in those colors on top. Let's see, there's some action happening in the chat. Let's see. Gothneck, smoking some permanent marker, about to do some sketching and coloring with alcohol markers. All right, markers do smell good, but don't breathe too deep. And Michael asks, was that a messed up version of you in the image you showed? Yeah, that was me. I took 3 pictures of myself, I threw them in Photoshop, and I made a wacky collage in Photoshop with them, and that's the reference. So yes, it is me. Final piece may or may not look like me, probably not too much, maybe a little bit. Let's see, Julie says, I'm making a couple of replacement dust bunnies. They fell prey to a couple of kittens. Awesome. I love your dust bunnies, Julie. Let's see, Jennifer says, thank you, Julie. Okay, acrylic. Eager to learn some tips as I use acrylic all the time, from the Undead of Night. Hey, thanks for joining us, the Undead of Night. Okay, so that's our basic sketch. That only took, a few minutes. And now I'm just going to take some white. And again, if you're just turning in, I got the reference photograph, a little Photoshop collage over to my right here, if you're wondering what I'm referencing for this. And I'm just kind of going to block in some of our highlights here. There's not, like literally I was in this chair when I took the reference photo, and I kind of tried to angle myself so I was partially in the shadow, but it's not a, there's not a lot of contrast in the, there's not a lot of contrast in it, so I'm gonna fake that a little bit and add some more in just to give it a little more interest. Oh, Charlie says growing the hair out. Yes, Charlie, I am. It is slowly but surely getting longer. It has just been in a perpetual awkward state. I am long overdue to get it cut and make it look not as weird. Oh, news. This just came in today. This just in. Hyena Gallery is going to be doing another horror market, which is a free event, and they have special guests and artists and vendors and all kinds of stuff. And so far I have vended at every single one of them, and I plan on vending at this one again. I've already booked the table, so that's going to be on March 21st. So if you're in the LA area and you want to come say hi and chat with me and meet some other cool artists and vendors and actors and whoever the heck they have there this time around. Highly recommend it. It's always a lot of fun. And it's a smaller convention too, which is awesome because you really get a chance to, it doesn't get too crowded and you really get a chance to see everything and talk to everybody. And every time I meet some new cool people and it's just a blast. So mark your calendars, March 21st at the Mayflower Club in North Hollywood, California. Which means I got to make some new stuff for it. Obviously, I always have some paintings to bring, but I'll probably try to get some more mask work done or something. Do something of interest. Undev Knight asks if I use a different brush for each color or clean the current brush. So far, just using one brush. I will switch brushes as I go along, but not because of color contamination, just size of the brush, right? So I just start big, to lay in the big shapes, So that's this is about I don't know, a 3/4 inch brush. Um, and then I'll basically, these are the three sizes we'll be dealing with today. So I start here once I get all the basic details in, refine it a little bit, and then move down to the smaller brush. And between those three, I can paint just about any details that I want. If there's anything crazy that comes up and I need some really fine, smaller detail, I may get some kind of like a liner brush in there or something, but probably not. Probably won't need to. And I'm just, I got black and I got white on my palette, and I'm just doing some quick value mixes just right on the palette and also right on the canvas. And still painting pretty sloppy at this stage. I'm not worried about it being neat just yet. I just want to make sure I get all these values in the right place. By that I mean, the light in the shadow. Oh, I did, in news that is only exciting to me, I did get a new just a 13-inch TV VCR combo for my office because all of my VHS collection is out here in the garage, and sometimes my wife and I will be talking about a movie and I say, "Oh, hey, I have it on VHS," and she never wants to come out to the garage to watch a VHS tape. So I just got a little TV VCR combo that can live in my office. So if that conversation comes up again, she will have less of an excuse to not watch whatever movies I'm trying to subject her to. So, and then I built a little shelf for that. Did a little bit of minor woodworking this week just to have a nice shelf for it to go on there. So it's going to go amidst a stack of pumpkins. So I did like a very bright orange, plastic pumpkin orange color shelf that it's going to sit on. The thing I like about these angled brushes too is they're very versatile because if you need to cover like a wide area, you can just use the flat part of it, or if you need to do like line work, you can just use that edge, or you can even just use the tip to get some very fine detail in there. So they're very versatile. You can really do a lot with it. I used to, I probably told this story on here before, but for a brief period of time in between corporate jobs when I was working in the tech world, I painted houses for a while. I was part of a crew that painted houses, and we get up on scaffolding and so forth. And the lead of that crew, he used basically one of these brushes, but it was a much thicker one, and that's when I learned you can take this kind of an angle and really good precise line work, and he was a master at that stuff. And once I saw him, how accurate he was able to get with that kind of made me want to try it out in paintings, and I kind of never looked back. That's like my default brush type. But everyone's got to find the tool that works best for them. That's the one that works for me. And my chair is still squeaking as per usual. It would not be Art Autopsy without my squeaky chair. I don't know if you can hear it. It's very loud to me. Maybe it doesn't come through in the mic, but I assume it does. Liz Miller has joined us. Hey Liz, thanks for joining. And Michael says, oh come on, who does not like VHS? That's what I'm saying, Michael. Seems to be making a comeback, which is cool, but it also is annoyingly driving the prices of everything up. Whereas not too long ago, you could get a lot of tapes for pretty cheap. But more people seem to be collecting these days, and the values are going through the roof. So I'm going to try to get this painting, the underpainting, as close to a black and white version of the finished painting as I can. So that is to say, I'm going to even get into doing some detailing and stuff like that in the underpainting before I move into color. But as you can see, it is all coming together very quickly. So thus far, I'm feeling pretty confident about finishing this in one sitting for you guys to finally give you guys a start to finish episode. Julie asks if I'm going to be using glazing medium. Nope, I'm just going to be using water, no medium. I'm trying to keep this an example of how you can do a piece on, a painting for virtually the lowest amount of money possible, which is just black, white, primary colors, and water. So, not going to be using any mediums, just to try to keep it lively. Let's see. Liz confirms that the squeak of my chair can indeed be heard. Excellent. Michael says people are making custom VHS tapes of the newer movies. I see unboxings for them on YouTube. Yeah, I've seen those a couple times too, and I have bought some custom VHS stuff before if I thought it was really cool. A guy that I just found on Instagram did a really cool box set of Halloween 1 through 3 from the first time that it aired on, they all aired together on television, and it included all the commercials. This was like in 1984, I think, something like that. And so that was cool. I'm a sucker for just those old commercials and stuff like that. Because a lot of old horror films, uh, from the 80s and stuff, the first time I saw them was on, network television with the commercials and stuff like that. So anyway, I had to pick up that kind of custom VHS because that was just a cool little nostalgia buy. But yeah, I've seen a few people do VHS releases for The Substance and for Sinners. Some of them with really cool box art. I don't know if any of those are official or if they're just kind of pirating them, but they are cool. But for me, thus far, I haven't gotten into buying any of the new stuff on VHS. Because for me, the whole experience of watching it on VHS is generally tied with my nostalgia for how I originally saw those films, which was on, a tape on a shitty television and things like that. So with a new film, I don't have that built-in nostalgia for them, so I don't necessarily want to yearn to watch the degraded quality of the film. But I do appreciate the artistry that people put into some of those releases in terms of the custom box art and so forth. So I've been spending a lot of time these last couple weeks just kind of lining up my movie work for the year. And I'm happy to say I've got, other than the film I was doing revisions on, which doesn't count because that was last year's film, I think I've got 3 other ones lined up now, which is cool so far. So that should take me through till May. Um, you know, the movie world is weird. You never know when you're going to get the next gig. So I just try to bid on as much stuff as I can, and then you cross your fingers and hope you get a certain percentage of them, and that the timing works out to where when they call you for the job, you're not already booked on something else. Although now I've got that pretty dialed in. I got a few guys that work for me in the VFX world, so I farm work out to them when I get double booked and so forth. Although I, legitimately like doing visual effects work because it is art. There's an art to it, and creativity and problem solving and all kinds of stuff. All the stuff that I like kind of goes into that. So if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have sworn that I wouldn't be doing visual effects anymore. I thought that AI was gonna take it all away, but so far so good. I'm still getting the calls. Unless it's starting to look like Homer Simpson or something. It's looking pretty goofy so far, but we're gonna ungoofy it as we go. All right, I'm gonna switch over to a little smaller brush now, just a slightly smaller brush. Let's see. Charlie says, I guess mistakes are harder to fix with acrylic. No, not really. Because it dries so fast, you just paint right over the top of it. So, and if you get impatient and you want to, you can just even use a blow dryer to accelerate the dry time. So, yeah, it's just as easy to fix mistakes as it is with oil. It's just a slightly different process, but still, it's very forgiving, very forgiving. Um, Undead of Night asks, is the new combo VHS TV stereo? It is. It is. It does. It does have a stereo out, and oh, you know what? Actually, it does have a stereo out, but it's a headphone jack. So the RCA out is in mono. So, but I probably will just be using the old basic speakers on the TV most of the time. Oh, thank you, Michael, for the nice words on the painting. So far, it's doing something. I'm just moving on to kind of the next phase, which is again just a smaller brush and starting to add a little more detail into it. Not a whole lot yet, but so now I'm just going to work my way from the top to the bottom to get this next phase done, and then we'll likely move into an even smaller brush and go back up to the top and work my way down again. Yeah, this whole mouth thing here is super goofy right now. Uh, just wanted to point that out so that you know that I know. I was halfway considering, before I arrived at the idea of doing the acrylic one and trying to do start to finish today, I was actually thinking of starting the painting that's going to be the cover for my next album. Um, but I still churning the idea for what the art's going to be around in my head, and I didn't want to, since that's going to go on an album, I didn't want to rush it, and that's the real answer is I just didn't have the right idea in time. Um, so depending on when I start that, you may end up seeing some work on a future art autopsy, some work on that album cover, or not, or you'll see it eventually. If not on art autopsy, then on social media. I went and saw, me and my wife and my bandmates went and saw Guillermo del Toro's first film. There's a cool little indie theater um, called Vidiots in Eagle Rock, which my bandmates Tosh and Scott have told me about, and they've tried to get me out there before, and I finally uh, schedule worked out, and I was able to go check it out. So we went and saw Kronos, yeah, Guillermo del Toro's first film, which, believe it or not, I had never seen, and I really enjoyed it. I was um, kind of shocked, even for his first film, and I think he was 24 when he did it, or right around there. Still, a lot of the themes that show up across his, even his current work, were there. He was a kind of a complete artist right out the gate. He had his vision even back then as a young filmmaker. So it was really cool, and very cool too, just to, since it was my first time watching it, to get to see it on the big screen. So that was a lot of fun. Anyone seen Kronos? Anyone? Liz says top mouth kind of looks like a xenomorph alien. Oh yeah, that stretching out part there. Yeah, I can see that. Charlie says, I always wondered at what point in production you make the album art. The reality of it is sometimes in the past, too late in the process. Some previously, when when I was on a record label that was not my own, and had to deal with other people's deadlines instead of mine, I I had rushed. Honestly, I had kind of rushed through some of the album art. So I'm not a huge fan of some of those older uh, album covers. But now that I launched my own label and kind of set my own deadlines and work at my own pace, I spend a lot more time on the art. So the album's still a ways away from being complete, but I'm really happy with how it's sounding. And it's certainly right around time for me to start thinking about the art. Um, so it's going to start as an oil painting, but I don't know that the final cover will be an oil painting. I might use the painting as a reference and do a sculpture from that, and then do some kind of photography with the sculpture, or maybe it will be the painting. I don't know. It's early stages on that front, but yeah, I have a lot of fun when I'm able to take my time with album art. It's a lot of fun. It's always a challenge coming up with a central image that I think important criteria for album art, if you're ever doing album art for yourself or for someone else. Uh, Not only should the image be cool and pertain to the album, but you also got to think about how cool will it look on a t-shirt. Um, so that's why some of my albums in the past were the artwork was very simple on them, and that was by design because a simple iconic image like the heart or whatever different things I've used in the past, those look good on a t-shirt. And nowadays, when not a lot of people buy physical media anymore, you got to sell those shirts. Okay, so I think you can see already just the level of, if we just look at this little section here, we're on this next stage of detail already, and we just work our way down, get everything to kind of that stage, then we go back up top and work in more detail, and then, if all goes well, we get into color. Oh, for any of you Game of Thrones nerds out there, as I am, there's a new spinoff, and it just aired. First episode aired on Monday. It's called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Did anybody else watch it? Um, I loved the first episode, and I will not spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it yet. Um, because I hate it when people tell me really anything about a film or a show I haven't watched yet. Always like blind watches, but I will say that it was excellent. And if you read George R. R. Martin, it is based on his book or story Hedge Knight, which that one I have not read, so I don't not familiar with the source on that. But I have read the Fire and Ice novels that Game of Thrones is based on, and those are great. Michael asks, have you seen Devil's Express yet? No, I have not seen that. So many movies, so little time. The other show that I try not to watch too many shows that are still airing, because then you're committed to them. But the other show I'm watching that is still currently airing is Beast Games, which that's Mr. Beast's game show thing that's on Amazon, and it is shockingly compelling. I love those kind of competition shows. Like I don't know why, just sucker for those kind of shows, and I think it's a fun one. Not a narrative show though, just good old dumb fun. Same with like Squid Games, the challenge, not the narrative show, but the game show one on Netflix. Love that show. I don't know why. I just love those kind of shows. Not so guilty pleasure. Under the Night says Kronos with a good start. Really like that scarab spider thing. Yeah, that was a cool mechanical thing. Yeah, it was. It was not a flawless movie by any means, but really fantastic first film. And I know what effort it takes to make any kind of a film, and I thought it was, yeah, just really well done, especially for a first-time filmmaker. Charlie has never seen Game of Thrones or the K-pop demon thing. Well, I've never seen the K-pop demon thing, but I think that has more to do with the fact that I'm pushing 50 and less to do with anything else. But Game of Thrones is cool. I mean, if you like that kind of fantasy adventure thing, I prefer Game of Thrones to what's the Lord of the Rings. I know that's sacrilege to say for a lot of people, but my taste is more with Game of Thrones. Although nothing against Lord of the Rings, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the first three. I only watched the first of the Hobbit movies or whatever, which was didn't compel me enough to watch the next two of that one. Charlie says, I feel like we really need a great new stop motion animation film soon. You know what? Speaking of Guillermo del Toro, he did you see his Pinocchio film, which was stop motion? It was pretty cool. But yeah, I love stop motion, so I'm there with you. Whatever. I love just the art form of that. So I'm a sucker for films like you know Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline and so forth. Or like those Brothers Quay music videos that they worked on with Adam Jones for Tool with all the stop motion in it. Love that stuff. Let's see. Oh, Michael says Night of the Demon. Oh, I've seen Night of the Demons, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. I think I read your post wrong then. Let's see. Jennifer says the trilogy of The Hobbit was a dumb idea. I read the book faster than my husband could watch the films. Undead Knight says I love watching Slew's artist battle competitions on his YouTube channel. Oh, I don't know about that, but drop me a link in the comments. That sounds cool. I like those kind of artist competition things. Um, there's an artist I follow who I support on Patreon as well. He goes by 10 Cent, and he does a lot of cool character illustration stuff. He does a lot of digital work, but he also does acrylic as well. And he's got a cool YouTube channel where he has lots of different artists battle different things. yeah, they compete to redesign album covers and things like that. So I love that channel. So that kind of stuff is right up my alley. Yeah, in general, I think, and again, this is more of a, well, this is just due to mostly how I poorly lit the reference. There's not a lot of dynamics to it. So after I get done with kind of getting more of the detail in this piece, I think I'm going to just further define the shadows, just wash in some additional black, darken up some of the shadows, give it a little more contrast before we move into color, just to make it a little more dynamic and fun to look at, so it's not so flat. So if any of you are familiar with my painting Becoming You, which was on it was the European album artwork for the System Sin album Strangers. This is the same technique that I'm doing right here that I did on that painting, in terms of just black and white underpainting, just using primary colors. Or another relatively well-known painting of mine, I'm funnier with my nose, with the clown with his nose cut off. Same thing, just black and white underpainting, primary colors, and that is it. So I don't know that we're going to achieve the cool factor that those two paintings have, at least for my taste, with this one, but we're gonna endeavor to get close. I guess the other benefit about doing this too is that, myself and a lot of artists do this, but I price my paintings. The base rate goes based on the square inches of the painting, and so all of these art autopsy paintings all last year have been 16 by 20. Um, so they've all been pretty expensive. So I think it's probably a good idea for me to paint something a little more affordable every now and again. Because I know not everybody wants to or can drop a couple grand on a piece. So I guess it's good to have things at different price points. Whereas this one will probably sell in the, I don't know, probably the 500-ish range. It's generally where I do 8 by 10s at. Which I know is still not a cheap painting, but that's one of the benefits of a lifetime of painting, is over the years your prices just go up. Oh, hey, Violet. Oh, cool. We're in the clown shirt right now. Thank you. Excellent. That's speaking of shirts and stuff. One thing I need to do sometime soon is I've been meaning to do a new line of shirts with just with some of my paintings on them. It's been a while since I've done something like that. So if there's any painting that you guys think would look awesome on a shirt, let me know. Oh, we got 18 people watching now. Hello, everybody who has joined. So for those who have joined more recently and weren't here since the beginning, you are watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live painting show that I do every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I jump on YouTube and make some art, and I encourage everybody at home to make some art with me and or join in the chat and participate. There's a lot of cool artists that come in from time to time, so it's a good chance to meet other artists and talk art. And if you do make a piece of art and you'd like to share it with my audience, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will share it on an upcoming live stream so that the audience can see it, and then it will live in infamy on my YouTube channel. Whee! And that's my spiel. And also, again, just for the benefit of those who joined late, this is an all acrylic painting that I'm doing today. As a reference, I just took 3 different photographs of myself. I put them together in Photoshop and to make kind of a basic reference, which is what kind of the starting point behind it. And then, yeah, and I'm just allowing myself to be loose with it. We're going to do a black and white underpainting, which is the process you're watching right now. And then we're going to wash in some color on top of it after the underpainting portion is complete. And now you are all caught up. Well, it's almost 8 already. Time flies. We've been going for 53 minutes. Minus the time where I'm just rambling and not painting, of course. I'm gonna leave the tongue in this top one, but I'm just not feeling having the 2 tongues here. I mean, this mouth will have a tongue, it just won't be sticking out. It's just not, it's not working for me. So we're gonna fix it. And again, since acrylic dries so fast, I'm just going right over the top of it and using black paint just like an eraser. Sometimes, if you're wondering why I'm just leaning back making a weird face, sometimes you just gotta back away from the painting for a sec just to kind of get get a new perspective on how it's working or not working, as it were. And I'll probably, I'm just thinking out loud, um, do something going through these mouths, or maybe there'll be some kind of a light source inside of one of his mouths or something, mouths. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Hmm. Here's an idea. Let's instead of having this like a fleshy lower jaw here, let's just have this be a skeletal jaw here. With this, you know, these kind of paintings are always somewhat of an optical illusion anyway, so just trying to think about how you can blend that in and make it work. You have a lot of different overlapping shapes in the face that cut through each other in weird ways, so so it's okay to be abstract with it, but it also still has to work on a visual level somehow. It has to both not make sense and still strangely make sense. And maybe, I don't know, just having fun with it at this point. We're going straying far from the reference, but maybe there's just like this stretch of skin that comes down off of this lip and ties around the jaw. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to make it into the final piece or not. And then this mouth right here is going to be kind of like a mouth-eye hybrid, and since it's kind of getting sucked off into a black hole here, I'm going to take this eyeball and have it also kind of give it more of a figure eight shape, as if it's getting pulled in two and also getting pulled off the side. I hadn't necessarily intended that to be an eyeball initially, but that's the direction I have decided to go with it. A big stretchy glob of what once was an eyeball, at least. So you guys are talking about Mad God. That's the Phil Tippett stop motion one. I have not seen that yet, and I need to watch it because I do love me some Phil Tippett. He's a rad stop motion talented artistic dude. I don't know how well you guys are familiar with him. For those who don't, real recap, Phil Tippett's the stop motion artist who kind of took over where Ray Harryhausen left off, and Phil did work on the Star Wars films and RoboCop and all the big 80s stop motion stuff. A lot of it was Phil's work, but he has kind of a reputation as like a curmudgeon, I guess, for better or for worse. He's earned it. He can be however the hell he wants. But I did see him once out in the wild. He was sitting on a bench out in front of Monsterpalooza, and he just had a look on his face that did not look like he wanted to talk to anybody. So I just left him alone. I was content to view him from afar. But yeah, so he did this stop motion film that took him 30 years or so to complete, called Mad God. And it's just like a tone poem type thing with a loose story. And yeah, I have not watched it yet, but I need to. Let's see. Julie's comment for the t-shirts: Ladybug Ape Creature, the monster trick-or-treating as a ghost, and the autumn squirrel. Thank you for the suggestions. Undead Knight says the right side of the face has the beginnings of a blown glass look. Yeah, I can totally see that. Cool. Yes. Sorry, I'm answering in my head. Guess I should talk more out loud. At some point in time, I just trail off and forget that people are watching me read. But thank you all for the comments and suggestions on the shirts and stuff. Charlie says, "Am I the only person that's willing to walk around in a Battle Cat tee?" I take it, are you referring to my painting with with the cat, or are you referring to the He-Man Battle Cat? Oh, and speaking of that, apparently there's a new live-action Masters of the Universe coming out. I saw stills from it, which look cool. So in the interest of going into it as cold as possible, I deliberately did not watch the trailer, but it looks like it'll be cool. Looks just based on, again, the still frames that I have seen from it. Looks like it hits all the right nostalgia buttons. Has anybody been making progress during the stream so far? Anybody have any milestones they've hit with the pieces that you've been working on over this last hour? Uh, Charlie was talking about my painting. Oh yes. Well, thank you. I could do a Battle Cat shirt then. um, Undead Knight asks if I have any Canadian blood in me because I share the same last name as your prime minister. Well, there's a lot of Carneys out there. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not related, but you never know. I guess if you go back far enough in our lineage, maybe there's a common ancestor somewhere. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't know him. As far as I know, all my ancestors pretty much just came from Ireland, which, well, that's an Irish name, so I'm sure so did your prime minister's ancestors. Okay, I gotta take a quick break. Give me 5 minutes, and I will be right back. Hope you guys stick around. I'll be right back. And we're back. All right. Let's see. Where were we? Where were we? All right. I gotta squeeze out some more white paint onto my palette. What did I miss? Anything exciting? Yeah, I'm anxious to move on to the color portion of this. So one thing about this technique where, you know, with the acrylic, when, you know, starting out with the underpainting and then washing in the color and so forth, you'll see as it goes, generally speaking, these kind of paintings go through a point where you are going to think that I just fucked up the painting, right? Because I have to cover it with paint, kind of bring back the details and so forth. So there's a lot of back and forth on it once we get into the color phase. So I'm just warning you now. It's going to look like I just made a horrible mistake, but that's just the way the process goes, and it'll work itself out. Or rather, I'll work it out. The glazing with oils tends to feel a little more forgiving and natural, but when you're doing that kind of technique, just using the water to thin out this, a lot of times you'll lose like your a lot of your contrast and stuff like that and some of your details, so you just have to bring them back in. But that's part of the process, is just destroying and creating and repeat and rinse and repeat. Undead of Night asks, anyone in the chat watch the Portrait Artist of the Year show? I didn't even know that was a show. So no, I have not watched it. Is it exactly what it sounds like? Is it like yeah, tell me, like, what is the show? Do they just show the works of an artist, or do they show the process? There's the chair squeaks again. I swear, it's my chair. if you ever attempt doing like one of these things like I'm doing here where it's multiple images kind of overlaid as your reference as opposed to just having like a single uh, photograph as a reference, the key is keep your lighting consistent. If you try to do this with multiple photos that are from different photo shoots and different lighting conditions, it just looks like garbage. So I always just make sure I'm get all of those references taken at the same time with the same light. And then as I'm lining them up and as I'm creating the reference in Photoshop, um, I'm just very aware of where the light, what direction the light is coming from, and how the shadow's falling. So I make sure I'm lining up those references all correctly. Not that another human being on planet Earth would want to make a painting like this, but hey, you never know. You never know. Maybe someone out there is curious. After all, you are spending your Thursday night watching me create it. So, now I switched over to the smaller brush, by the way. Forgot to call that out, but and I'm off camera. I have next to my palette is just that cup of water, so I'm constantly as needed. Not only getting paint on my brush, but also dipping it in water, depending on how much I want to blend the paint, that sort of thing. You can probably see when I have too much water, not enough pigment, like I just did there. All right, it's coming together. Coming together. How are you guys feeling about this piece so far? You like it? You hate it? Are you confused by it? And is that a bad thing? Yeah, it has been a while since I've done a full acrylic painting, but it's coming back to me slowly but surely. It's like riding a bicycle. Charlie says, I mean, if I saw this at a gallery, I'd know it's a Clint Carney. Excellent. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you for the nice comments, y'all. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me while I make art. Is anybody watching for the first time? Is there anybody out there in YouTube land that has just discovered this channel during tonight's live stream? And if so, welcome. How do you guys, for those of you who aren't new, how do you guys typically find out about the live streams? Are you following me on Patreon or on Instagram, or do you just see them come up on YouTube? Always curious how people actually. I try to post everywhere, but you know how social media is. You never really know what is going to be seen. Undead of Night likes the skeleton jaw. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In fact, kind of got a little lost with that. We're going to bring that in a bit more here. Sarah's got an alarm set every other Thursday. Excellent. Michael follows on Facebook. Charlie says there's more watchers than chat people. Come on out, shy people. Well, maybe they're just, maybe they're not shy. Maybe they're just actively engrossed in making their own art, which I also fully support. Okay, well, we're getting close to where we can almost start to think about throwing some color in there. Almost. Not quite, but pretty close. Pretty close. And again, we are just going to use primary colors, at least initially, right? I guess maybe there'll be a stage where I think, oh, hey, it needs a new pop, like right at the end for like a accent color, but maybe not. Also, we'll see. But the plan is to just use primaries. Best laid plans of mice and men. Okay, yeah, I think getting ready for color. It's a little still wet, just a little bit, so I'm actually going to grab a heat gun, which is just a Uber-powered blow dryer, basically, and just give it a once-over real quick, just so we can move on to color and we don't have to wait too long for the drying. So, be right back. It is just here somewhere in the mess of my garage. Aha, success. Necrotechnicon keeps track through Patreon. Jennifer says it's hard to chat while painting. That's quite all right. I understand. And Siren Roman Luna Nocturna says, usually when I see the upcoming live on YouTube, I put it to notify me when you go live. Excellent, thank you. Gothneck says, I have follow your YouTube channel and have all the alerts set. Then when it gives me a chance to turn a reminder on that you're going to go live. Excellent. The Undead Knight says, if you were to leave this just acrylic, do you use a glaze or something like that to seal it? Good question. Same as I would with an oil. I would put a varnish over the top of it to seal it in when it's all done. So yeah, so I would probably use like a Gamvar varnish. Yeah, we'll see, depending if I want it to be glossy or not. This one feels like it's going to want to be glossy at the end. So pardon the noise for a second. I'm just going to blast this heat gun and get this dry real quick. These heat guns, hopefully you can hear me over the sound of the heat gun here. These heat guns get real hot real fast, and if you're not careful with it, you can ruin your painting. So, you know, you don't want to let any one area get too hot, or the paint can start to bubble up or whatever. This is more about just getting a nice, just getting the top coat dry. But yeah, you don't want to heat it up so much that the paint starts to bubble up. So I'm just, I can see more. It's probably harder to see over the video, but I can kind of see where the wet spots are, so I'm just trying to get those taken care of. All right, I think that's good enough. So it's going to keep making noise for a few more minutes. It has a self-cooling thing on it, because these things get hot, and I got to hold it while it's cooling, because I can't set it down anywhere just yet, because I don't want to start a fire. The metal part on these things, never touch them. If that wasn't self-evident, I've accidentally touched that more than a few times over the years of using these on paintings and prop builds and stuff like that, and it will instantly burn the living shit out of you. All right, I'm going to go set this on the cement so that it is not touching anything. All right, you guys ready for some color? Okay, let's, so again, once again, we're going to just be doing primaries. And what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to do a thin layer of yellow over the highlights, a thin layer of blue over the shadows. In fact, I'm going to see, this is a cerulean blue. I just want to see if I have like a little darker blue in acrylics. So, pardon my making noise here, rustling around, but okay. Apparently I have no shortage of cerulean blue. Okay, I have a Windsor blue. We're going to go with a Windsor blue. In this case, it's going to be a little darker because I'm going to use that on the shadow side. And somewhere I have a pair of pliers to open this. Okay. Yeah, just getting fancy. Going with the darker blue. All right. So let's start with the yellow, and you'll see what I'm doing. So this is the point in the process where it's going to look like I'm, well, in reality, I will be messing up the painting and working my way back to it. So it's going to look a little crazy for a while, but trust that it's a process. So it kind of goes through this phase where it starts to look a little bit like a watercolor, and then slowly the detail starts getting eaten away at, and then you're like, what the hell are you doing? And then and then eventually it all comes together. But actually the hard part, the longest part of this process is done, which was that underpainting, right? So now the rest of this is going to come together shockingly fast compared to that. In fact, we might be done by 9 o'clock. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. See how we're feeling about it by then. I don't want to call it done just for expediency, but if it feels done by 9 o'clock, then it does. We'll see. I'm just rambling incoherently at this point. I know. So what's happening here is because I'm putting all of this color in here, the image is really flattening out. So we don't have those bright whites anymore. And then the same is going to happen with our blacks. As I put in the blue in there, we're going to lose our deepest blacks. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say it's going to look like I'm messing up the painting for a bit, because we're just going to lose contrast. It's going to flatten out, and then as I get into the red and stuff, it's going to look even more messed up. But then you go back and you add in those details and that contrast, and it all comes together in the end. So now this is the Windsor blue, which is just a little darker blue than that one I initially showed you. I'm just getting this in the shadow side, and I don't care. In fact, it's totally fine if it gets a little bit into that yellow. It's okay, obviously, having a little bit of transition between the two. And as you can probably tell, I'm being fairly loose with all of this. So now we have, there's the contrast of the colors, but the contrast of the values has now been lessened. So as we move on, we will work our way back to that. It's already looking, somewhat interesting, just having little bits of color in it. Starting to do something. Okay. And I'm just taking that rag and I'm blotting up some of the water that I left on there. Okay. So we've got our orange, or I'm sorry, we've got our yellow in our highlight side. We've got our blue in our shadow side. Now let's squeeze out some red. This is cadmium deep red hue for anyone who's following along at home. And this one, and this is where it really starts to ruin everything, because this red I'm gonna wash over. I'm gonna really thin it out with the water, but this is gonna go over both the yellow and the blue. Just kind of going to unify those. Has that flattening out effect. But then it's going to tie those in together. We're going to start to get a rather complex skin tone with minimal effort, because we took the time to build up those values with the underpainting. And I try to be conscious of the contours of the skin and move my brush in the direction of the flow of everything. You know what I mean? So, well, you're watching me do it, so you can see what I mean. See how those are blending together. We're getting some oranges in as that red crosses over the yellow. We're getting some purples in as the red crosses over the blue. And I'm just letting everything blend in, and you can see this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, what the hell is he doing? It's just turning into mud. But shortly we're going to start bringing some of the highlights and shadows back in, and then you'll see. Now, of course, this is just one way to paint. There are many ways, there are infinite ways to paint. This is probably not the right way. This is just one technique that I kind of have developed over time. Of back when I was doing more acrylic paintings, I would do the same process on quite a bit of paintings, and I just really came to like the look when all is said and done. And I'm going to avoid getting the red on that jawbone portion. And also on the shirt. Just going to keep it on the skin parts for the most part. I'll let a little dip into the eyes there. Okay, but you can see how garbagey that looks, right? Right? We can all admit that that looks garbagey. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another brush, and I'm going to find a brush that will be the same exact kind of brush that I've been using, but I'm just finding one that's a little more destroyed, because this part of the process is going to fuck up a brush, and I don't want to do it to a brand new brush. Oh, Charlie says good night. Good night, Charlie. Thanks for tuning in. Michael is going to bed as well. Good night, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you both. Okay, so now I just see this one's kind of worn down. It's lost its edge or whatever. That's fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip it in the white and try to get most of that white off. Just do kind of like a dry brushing technique almost, but more. Now I'm just kind of working in this circular pattern. And slowly working this white in to back into these highlights and just letting it blend with those colors underneath. And I didn't let them dry all the way purposefully, so that as I go to this point, so that as I go to this step, it just kind of blends in, and see how we're getting an interesting skin tone there on top of the head now, because now we have the benefit of the tones from the underpainting, and then all of those different colors working together on top of each other, and then we're just taking this white and it's kind of taking those colors and making it nice and milky and softening everything. We're going to end up going back in again even after this step and redefining our highlights more. And again, as I go through this step, inevitably I'm covering up some detail, covering up some of these wrinkles. Those will have to be redefined, things like that. You get a lot of happy accents too. Sometimes if you go a little too heavy-handed with your underpainting, this process can help soften some of those edges. Now this will help smooth that transition over to the shadow side. Now you don't have to paint the full face like this. You can do this in phases. I do the full thing because I paint fast, because I've been, doing it for a couple decades. But if you're maybe not as fast of a painter, you can just concentrate on one section of a face and go through these steps. So that you still have, allow that paint to be a little wet as you go through and kind of work this white back into back into it. But yeah, it's working nice. I'm really digging the way it's coming together, just as planned. What do you know? Now just adding a little bit more of a highlight there to the edge. See what I mean though about the color part of the process just coming together so much faster once. So if you put in the work on that underpainting, you get rewarded for your work by a fast color process. Let's see. Liz says, I look up from the drawing. Love the color you added. Thank you. Schwein says, hey, Clint, did you watch Abigail? I thought it was pretty fun. Any recent vampire movies you enjoyed? I did watch Abigail. I really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. Recent vampire movies. Sinners was awesome. I saw that just got nominated for, I think, 16 Academy Awards, which is cool. Yeah, trying to think of what else I've seen recently. Cronus I watched recently, which was kind of a vampire movie in its own way, but that's an older movie. It was a new to me movie. Um, yeah, trying to think if there's anything else vampire wise. Let's see. Jennifer says that's cool how fast it went from looking like a mess to looking like it's coming together. Thank you. Julie B says this is really cool. I have never tried that technique with only acrylics. Yeah, the only thing with the acrylics is, you're racing the fast dry time on it, But I've done it so many times now that I feel okay with racing the clock on it. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go to a smaller brush and just start refining details, and then we can make some bolder color choices as we go. And I'm going to break out ye old yardstick here so that I'm not dipping my hand in my good work here. Oh, you know what else I watched recently-ish? Well, just since last Art Autopsy. Two films that came out recently based on Richard Bachman books, which is, yeah, as you probably know, Stephen King's old pen name or pseudonym, The Long Walk and The Running Man. And I really enjoyed both of them. It's funny because when I read The Long Walk, I probably read it like, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. I remembered thinking, why has no one made a movie about this? It's like such a good story, and it's so simple that it seems like it would be an easy conversion into a film, but no one had until this year, or last year, I guess. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really cool little film. And then Running Man, this new version of Running Man, not the 1980s Schwarzenegger film, which I also like, by the way. But this one was directed by Edgar Wright, who you probably know from Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, among others. And yeah, really, really cool. I enjoyed it. Kind of a little closer to the book in some ways. Not as goofy as the 1980s version. Still had, some Edgar Wright signature fun elements to it. Okay, we're gonna give him. Let's see. We're gonna give him a yellow eye, I think. Yeah, I really liked a lot of those books that he wrote as Richard Bachman. Um, there's one called Rage, which he's actually had pulled. It's no longer in production. You have to buy a used copy because he's not printing it anymore, because it's about a school shooter. But it was written in a time before, far before Columbine. So when he wrote it, I don't think he knew how real the story would be, and I think he just didn't feel it was responsible to keep it out there in the world. But it was a really good story, so if you have a chance to read it, I still enjoyed it. Although, it has become more controversial with time, understandably. And then what else? Thinner, I think, was also a Richard Bachman book, which was good. And there's not a whole lot of his books that have not been made into movies, is there? Some of them made into 3 or 4 movies. Now I'm just going to use the same angled brush just to do some little eyebrow details here. Don't have to go crazy with it because the basic shape of it is already in there, but just to suggest some other hairs in there will do the trick. Jennifer says she was way too young when she read The Long Walk and now gets sick about watching the film. Yeah, the film is done well. It's done very well, and it's tasteful, and it's still sad, and it hits all the right beats, that the book did. It's, you know, appropriately emotional when it needs to be, and yeah, shocking when it needs to be. And the cast is really good. It's I don't really think I knew any of the cast. It's a young cast because they're all supposed to be 18-year-olds, although there's probably some 30-year-old, 18-year-olds in the cast. But but I don't think I was familiar with any of them. But they all did a great job. It's getting quiet now. We're on hour 2, but we're in the home stretch, and I'm in it to win it on this one. I'm gonna stick to it and get this finished in one session, so we can say we did, right? I appreciate you. I know a lot of you have been here since the beginning of the episode, so thank you. I appreciate everyone who stops in for any amount of time. Really appreciate you all who have stuck with me for the whole thing. It's quiet now. You guys still alive out there in Chatville? I know we lost some people to tiredness. It's only 9 o'clock for me, but I know my East Coast viewers, it's midnight, so totally get it. Yeah, even though this painting is, oh, Sarah is still here. Thank you, Sarah. Even though this painting is turning out, a bit different from the original reference, which is fine. That was always the intention. It's still very useful to have that reference just to look back on and to make sure I'm on track with the way the light's hitting and everything. So, I mean, I do a lot of work just off the top of my head, but giving yourself some kind of a reference can be quite helpful. Julie B is still alive and sort of transfixed. I'm not getting much felting done because I can't stop watching. Ah, well, thank you for watching, Julie. Appreciate it. The Under of Night says, have you read Charlie the Choo Choo by King's other pseudonym, Beryl Evans? It's based on a book he mentions in The Dark Tower and decided to make it into a real book. I have not read it yet, but I did just buy it for my brother for Christmas. So maybe he'll be kind and loan it to me sometime. Although, to be honest, I am way far behind on the Dark Tower books, and by that I mean I only ever read the first one, which was it, The Gunslinger? Is that the first one? So I have to go back and start over on that series and read the whole thing one of these days. I don't know why at the time. I mean, I read that one when I was in high school, which was, you know, many moons ago. So I just don't remember a whole lot about it. I can't remember why I didn't keep up with the series then, but I'm sure I will dig it. Have an ever-expanding stack of reading. And we're going to just do some really tiny little specular highlights on the end of the tongue here just to make it look wet. Hopefully. On Dead Night says, don't know why, but this painting feels sci-fi to me. Yeah, I can see that. Someone said earlier, made the xenomorph comment, and now I can really see it with this dome part of the head, so that's probably contributing to that feeling in a no small way. Could also be the fact that I'm wearing a hat that says sci-fi right on it. Create Sci-Fi. It's my buddy Anthony's YouTube channel. And congrats to Anthony, because he just crossed the 100,000 subscriber mark last week, which, let me tell you, is no small feat. I've had my channel for 12 or 13 years, and I'm nowhere close to that amount of subscribers. But I also make very niche content, so you know, I can't complain. All right, making progress, getting closer and closer. And we're going to make this weird elongated eyeball red, because why not? We're just sticking with the primary color theme here. Yes, my subliminal sci-fi advertising. Okay, yeah, again, the only thing that really remains to be seen on this is when I come back and look at this in the morning or the next time I'm ready to do some painting, will I still be willing to call it done, or will I not be able to help myself and do some more work on it? I don't know. But at least by the end of this session, um, it could conceivably be called done, you know. And let's throw in like a bold yellow over here. Just a little backlight. Give it a little something. Let's see, what do we got here? Under Night says, this may be my favorite live yet. Oh, thank you so much. Seeing the painting done in acrylic adds a different dimension. Thank you. Jennifer says, if you work on it again, will you stick with acrylic or lay some oil on top of it? Good question. I don't know. Probably I would, if I do another session, I would probably work in a little oil, but you know, might not do another session either. So we'll see. Remains to be seen is the answer. No answer is the answer. Julie says, the eye on the top reminds me of Christopher Walken for some reason. I don't know how he would feel about that, but I'll take it. Yeah, I guess the other benefit of doing this one in acrylic and knocking it out in one session is that it doesn't add to my stack of paintings that I still need to finish. So the never-ending stack. Yeah, how's everyone else feeling about it? Do you like this kind of thing where we do a painting start to finish but just keep it loose and acrylic, or do you prefer the ones that go a little more in depth and where you don't necessarily get to see the whole painting in one fell swoop? If you guys like watching this kind of thing, I can do more of it. I'll probably change it up, maybe alternate, you know. Of course, one of these live streams, I'll probably want to do a sculpting live stream as well, in the interest of really changing it up. Liz says, I made a lot of progress on my neo-traditional tattoo sketches. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Looking great. Good night, Clint. Good night, Liz. Thanks for watching. Undead of Night says, I started a painting of Walken from Sleepy Hollow, and I can see where the top part looks like one of Walken's. Nice. Henry Swift. Hey, Henry, thanks for joining. What big pieces are you working on that have a deadline coming up, if any? Well, fortunately and unfortunately, all of the big pieces I'm working on do not have deadlines. If they did, I probably wouldn't be taking my sweet time with them quite as much, but I, I don't have any shows booked at the moment. Although I did just book I'm going to do the upcoming Hyena Horror Market, which is a little convention in North Hollywood on May 21st. So I will try to finish some more for that. But yeah, no deadlines to speak of. So I have many bigger pieces that have just been on the not on the back burner, but let's just say I've been taking my sweet ass time with them. But that's fine. They'll be better for it, theoretically. I'm gonna get rid of these little teeth things back here. I'm not feeling those. And now I'm gonna dip into the cerulean blue, whereas before I went with the Windsor blue, but just for his shirt. And again, we'll get some of that. Just throw that back there. Okay. And let's see, we got a yellow eye, we got a red eye. He's going to need a blue eye. Let's just throw some of this cerulean blue into this eye here. So that way he's fully representing those primary colors with his eyeballs. Jennifer says, I was hoping you would use a brighter blue on the shift. Excellent choice. Thank you. Gothneck says, this was pretty cool to watch start to finish, but I also like when you do a more detailed painting, and then I really like the idea of you bringing another medium or two to your art autopsy. Thank you very much. Nellie B says, cerulean blue, you painting happy little trees next? I might throw some happy little trees in the background. One never knows. Happy little trees are always welcome. Okay, but I think we're getting pretty close to calling it a night on this guy. So when I add in a few little bright spots here and there. A few little bits of light. No, I didn't like that one. There we go. And I feel like this nose needs to have a little red around it. Let's look a little more sickly. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, let's add the finishing touch for right now, which is going to be my initials. So I'm just mixing up some red with some white so that it stands out a bit. There we go. Boom. Start to finish. One sitting. Calling it a day. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's it. Dudes, thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. This was a fun episode. Hope you guys had as much fun watching as I did painting. Don't forget, if you made any art, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com if you would like me to share it on an upcoming live stream. And I will see you in 2 weeks. You guys have a great night.